Aloha, super friend. It is I, Corey Leland. Welcome into another top of the hour ranking my top 10 favorite albums by bands or musical artists that I really, really like. And I think the thing about this band is either you really love REM or you really don't like them at all, or maybe you just kind of ignored them and you heard Losing My Religion or maybe a couple other hits but never really got into them. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about some albums that I really like by REM, and I've been a big, big fan since 1982, 82 or 83, when a roommate brought home the album Reckoning, their second full-length album, and I just absolutely loved it. Just got an honorable mention here with an album that a lot of people choose as their very favorite, and I'm always surprised by that. But I can't say that I really love New Adventures in Hi-Fi. That would be a hollow claim, but I do have the deluxe edition, so there. Number 10. I remember when this album came out, and I was a little bit, believe it or not. I know a lot of people love Document, and it does have some big hits. It was very successful for them with This One Goes Out to the One I Love, which is not quite the love song it appears to be. Kind of like the Police's Every Breath You Take in that regard, but another prop to occupy my time. Fire, he's not singing about firing a salute in a prop on the road. So some people are like dancing to that at their wedding. I don't quite get that. But this one also has The End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. Always good for current events these days. And Finest Work song. Wow, what a rockin' opener. But other than that, I didn't love this album. And I still don't love that album. Coming in at number 9 for me, I've got another REM album that you'll often find as people's absolute favorite. Automatic for the People. And yeah, it has Everybody Hurts, Boo-hoo. And that was a big hit for them. And Man on the Moon. You know what's great about this album? I'll tell you, the last two tracks, Night Swimming and Find the River. Coming in at number 7. For me, this album is my number 7th favorite. It's got 3 songs I absolutely love. Day Sleeper, At My Most Beautiful, and I guess I'll go with Lotus. But the thing about a lot of these REM albums in the later years, you remember I've been in it since 82, so I go way back with them, but there's always just like 2 or 3 songs I love, and the rest are not that great. Which is the case with my number 7 favorite, Reveal. Very spiritual title, Reveal. It's like when you're inviting presence of God to help awaken you to your divine nature. See some of my spiritual videos on that subject, friends. Reveal has 3 great, great songs, and I'll still reach for this album more than some of the others, even higher up in my list because of Imitation of Life. Great REM song. I'll Take the Rain. Love it. And All the Way to Reno. Other than that, this album coming in at my number 6 album. Wow, was this big for them? Out of Time. Now, there again, very spiritual title, Out of Time. Wow, I was just doing a meditation video on that. How, as long as you're thinking about the past and the future, you're kind of blocked from that divine peace. You got to get to that quiet moment. Out of time, outside of time. This album, of course, had Losing My Religion. Huge hit. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing that tune. In every store and everywhere you went. Shiny Happy People got them on The Muppet Show. And all in all, this is a very happy, interesting album, top to bottom. I do like it a lot. We're at my top 5 favorite studio albums from one of my favorite all-time bands of all time. Did I say all time? Green, yeah, love Green. That was their first big album for Warner Brothers, their new contract after they left the small indie IRS label. Pop song 89, You Are the Everything. For me, there's my favorite track is probably the very last song that wasn't even titled on the album. It was kind of like added in probably after all the packaging and everything, but it was an untitled kind of bonus track. Really great. And a lot of people like songs like Orange Crush. I never loved Orange Crush. World Leader Pretend. I'm not a big fan of that song so much either. But You Are the Everything, The Wrong Child, even Hair Shirt. I got to tell you, I went to see REM 2 times. This was the second time. And I'm standing in the men's room in a long line to get to this big wall of urinals in the Oakland Alameda Coliseum in Oakland, California. And I'm standing in this long line, a bunch of long lines of people just waiting to get to pee up against the wall in a giant urinal. I'm kind of a little bit buzzed. We partied right before the show's about to start. Remember, I could sing Michael Stipe very well. Those kind of tenor voices are really in my home run range, and maybe something about the shape of my head or something. Certainly not my politics are not the same as Michael Stipe's, but for some reason I was able to sing his voice really well, especially in those days. And something about the moment pre-show when I'm buzzed and I start singing Hair Shirt from this album, and the waves of conversation. I haven't even sung a song in months now, so that was horrible. But I used to waves. I could sit back in the day, and it's reverberating in this big ballpark stadium bathroom. And I actually heard somebody going, "Is he in here?" I used to sound like him. Not that what I just did would give you an indication of that. I think somewhere on my YouTube channel I've covered Driver 8. So you can check that out, Corey Leland, Driver 8. Coming at my number 4 favorite REM album of all time, their debut album after the EP, which is great, called Chronic Town. And on Chronic Town, if you haven't heard that, check out a song called Wolves Lower and also another tune called Gardening at Night. But this one, Murmur, huge on college radio, very different music. Pilgrimage, what a great, unusual song that is. Talk About the Passion, I used to do in the band I was in college. And also Perfect Circle we did, and Can't Get There From Here, which is another album coming up in my list. But this album has a lot of great tunes. Shaking Through, Sitting Still. Radio Free Europe was the single, but that's like one of my least favorite songs on Murmur. Very strong album, though. I've got 3 albums left here, friends, of my top 10 favorite albums by R.E.M. And this one, for many years, was actually my favorite album. But today, it's only going to be number 3. This is the first album I heard by them. Must have been 1982. Reckoning. Yeah, this followed Murmur. And I was just all over in love with this album. Harbor Coat, South Central Rain, Camera, Don't Go Back to Rockville. This is just a great jangled pop, cool indie album of good songs. Thought they followed up Murmur really well with that one. I've got 2 more albums of my top favorite REM albums of all time, friends, and boy, I love these 2 records so much. I thought about putting this one number 1 because there's songs on Fables of the Reconstruction that just hit me in spots that no other REM album does for sure. Songs like um, Wendell G and Good Advices and Green Grow the Rushes. Wow, I just love that. I saw them this year in a small theater on State Street in Santa Barbara called the Arlington Theater. And we had great seats, and I was so blown away because I was already a huge fan for a couple years and, doing songs of theirs and Can't Get There From Here from this album, and a band I was in. And I just love this album, Driver 8. I think I'm doing, like I said, a cover of Driver 8 somewhere on my YouTube, but one of the best concerts and one of the best albums. Some of those tunes, like I said, Green Grow the Rushes, just hits me right where I live musically. Now, here's my favorite, friends. I remember the day that I bought this album sitting on the steps outside of my apartment, the Sony Walkman back then that we would listen to things, our cassette tapes on. And this album right here, Life's Rich Pageant. It's an image of drummer Bill Berry from the nose up there on the cover. I don't know why they chose that, but I remember hearing the first three songs on this album and just being absolutely blown away as an excited fan, ready to hear the brand new album. Back in those days, we didn't have the internet. There wasn't any pre-release tracks that I knew of. And the first three tunes on here, Begin the Begin, These Days, and Fall on Me. Boy, if you've never heard R.E.M. and you listen to the first three songs on this album, Life's Rich Pageant, and if you don't like them, there's really, I think, probably no point in listening to any other R.E.M. albums. But this is a great one. Produced by Don Gehman, Gehman, who had had a lot of hits with John Cougar. And I wish they had made other albums with Don Gehman as a producer other than this one, but I guess they didn't get along so well, Michael Stipe and him, because he was used to making hits. And a song like on here called Hyena, and the lyrics really don't seem to kind of mean anything. And I'm sure Don kind of wanted him to say, well, what he was questioning him, like, what's a hyena? Why, why you can't just sing things that make sense so we can sell more records. But this album is my favorite REM album of all time, friends. Close second with Fables of the Reconstruction. And I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching. Have a beautiful day. I'm Corey Leland. Happiness and peace.